everyone, I'm HorseyEatYou. I just finished Lostbelt 6 today, which means I have nothing better to do with my time than make a tier list video. I've never thought of doing one of these before. The idea just sprang into mind, so I'm doing one. Big citation needed. So this is a tier list of Fate Grand Order's story and all the chapters or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, big citation. I have not replayed the story, and I started playing back at JP launch, but I started reading them at NA launch, so like I haven't played Fuyuki in like 6 years or something like that. So my memories are a bit scattered when it comes to these earlier parts, or like really even like anything before like Olympus. Like what happened in Olympus again? Who knows? So yeah, if I might be a little biased towards the newer parts, basically. So yeah, let's get started. Fuyuki. That is, it's the tutorial. Nobody talks about Fuyuki. It is completely fine. It does what it set out to do, and it doesn't really do much beyond that. So like, C? Like, hold on. Like, C to me, that's like, fine. Hold on. Add that in. Fine. Yeah, okay. And like, D is like, unremarkable. And then, you know, E is, you know what E is. And, okay, Orleans is the second launch chapter, the first Singularity. It's been a long time since I read this, but I remember it a little fondly, if anything. Like, it's not exactly great, right? It's not winning any awards. But I still remember that scene with Mozart, like after Marie dies. That's still there. That's still in my noggin. So, like, it's... I'd also put that at C, like better than Fuyuki. Okay, there we go. Okay, now, okay, we all know Septum. But maybe I'm a little soft on it because it's a launch chapter. But like, I don't remember it being that bad. Like, it's very fan servicey. Like even beyond like Narrow, like everyone loving her, which I don't actually remember that much. You get stuff like Alexander and a waiver showing up together, you know, it's very, I mean, just fan service is the way to say it. It's a gacha game story chapter, right? And that's why, like, I don't want to say it's bad, because like it probably is. If I read it, I'd hate it, right? But also it's like 2 hours long. Come on. If you don't like it, you're done with it before you even know it. Okay, so Okeano's being released. That was a big moment in FGO. I remember when this came out, it was a fine day to be an FGO player. And you know what? It was amazing for the time, right? Like, nowadays, if you go back and do Okeanos, it's probably pretty mediocre. But I remember really enjoying it. One moment I especially remember liking, Guro actually gets to do something. Like, I remember at the end of the Singularity, you have to fight Hercules, right? And Guro is the one to come up with a plan to stop him. I remember that blew my little mind. I was like, wait, what? This isn't a completely blank slate character? No. Is he a mostly blank slate? Yeah, definitely. But is he a completely blank slate? No, he did something. Plus, like, journeying around with all the pirates and stuff, you know, just washing up on a deserted island and, oh yeah, Artemis is there. Surprise. Or is it Atalanta? It's one of them. Right, anyway, London. The second Sakurai chapter, which I want easy on Septum. London, like, everyone talks about how bad London is nowadays, right? I don't remember that. I just remember being like, oh, hey, Zokin's in it, cool. Oh, hey, all the fake prototype characters that I don't know about because I haven't read it, because I don't think it's translated, is it? Yeah, what's it called? Fragments of Blue? It's Sakurai's fate light novel. I assume there's multiple. And so, like, I think it's just unremarkable. Like it introduces Solomon. That's cool. Like, I mean, maybe. And then like Tamamo and Kentucky show up for some reason and talk, and then they die. And then Artoria Laser Ultra shows up for. Okay, yeah, it's unremarkable. Plus, it has the trope that I absolutely hate that like half of the Fate Grand Order stories use. It sets up like, oh, first, if you wanted to like find the final boss, you have to defeat the 3 mid bosses first. Because remember in London you have like 3 initials. You get to fight the 3 of them. Then you get to go fight Solomon, and then you almost die. And then Edmond Dantes curses you. And then the Cardinal Kyokai. No, the Cardinal Kyokai event comes first. That was fun though. There is a if you didn't play back then, the Cardinal Kyokai event happens. It leads into the Edmond Dantes event, which leads into America. Which, does this singularity have its problems? Yes. Is it still an amazing time? Yes. Well, okay, I'm gonna put this top of B tier because like I feel like A tier is gonna be like it's not as good as the other A tiers that are gonna show up, right? It's still a fun time. It's what I consider to be the first real Fate Grand Order story chapter. Like it's obviously not gonna compete with Camelot and Babylonia, but it's a completely good time. You go backpacking with Rama, but right? Rama's in your backpack, right? Am I misremembering that? Thomas Edison is there. There's like Karna and Arjuna fight for some reason, and it's good. And Maeve is in it, so it can't be a bad story chapter. Right? Okay, this one. I don't know where to put this one. Camelot is my favorite of part 1. I like it more than Babylonia. But is it EX? I don't know. Like, it is a very tight story. I mean, nowadays we would call it short, even though back then it was super long. Right? It's a story about Bedivere. There is a little fat to it, which I think the movies actually did a good job. Well, I haven't seen in the movies, but like they cut out like Shanzong and I think they cut out Serenity, cut out Rice Man, the guy with infinite rice, I think. Which those characters, I think they did that. You know, they added a little to it, right? But they were superfluous to the core of the story, which is about, you know, Bedivere's journey to delivering Excalibur back to, you know, you play Camelot. And I think for virtue of the fact that it was the first to come out and be like, hey, this might be a gacha game, but also this is a Fate game, right? I'm gonna put it in the X tier. Because before that, like even America, it was like, oh yeah, we're just having a fun time. It's a gacha game, but then Camelot came out and was like, oh yeah, if you know this wasn't a money printing machine, we could turn this into like a visual novel and it could be legit. It's a Babylonia, A tier. It's when I first played it, I thought it was maybe even better than Camelot, but as time went by, I was like, okay, you know, maybe it's got its flaws. Like, first off, it's like almost, well, I don't think it's twice as long as Camelot. It is a good deal longer than Camelot, but I don't think it really accomplishes that much more. Like, don't get me wrong, like the climax is awesome, although it does kind of like King Hassan just kind of shows up and it's like, hey, and you kill Tiamat and Gilgamesh is there, and it's a little Deus Ex Machina, but look, it's Chuni, so it's cool, okay? That's how Fate works. If it's Chuni, it's allowed. And yeah, like I'd say the middle section is kind of weak. Like I'm trying to think back. It's been like 5 years, 4 years, something like that. Like I remember there's like the 3 Goddess Alliance. Like I'm pretty sure everything like after. So Gorgon was like the big bad, and Eresh Krigel and Quetzalcoatl were just kind of there. I'd say like everything between like dealing with Eresh Krigel and Quetzalcoatl and like the Lamu coming out is just kind of like, well, no. Look, I'd have to replay to point out what I didn't exactly work for me, but it's a great time. It's just not, you know, it's not up there in the upper echelons of Fate Grand Order, right? Anyway, Solomon, not a lot to say about Solomon, you know, is the capstone to part 1. Did its job. It had some good moments, you know, Yomani's sacrifice, Mashu's sacrifice, Bo being the secret boss the whole time, Primate Murder. I don't really get that. Well, I mean, I get it. It's just, I was thinking the other day, why was Primate Murder out at Chaldea? Has that ever been explained? Did Merlin just drop him off there at like a daycare for one day? Who knows? And of course, I like all the scenes with the demon god pillars and all the servants from the Singularity show up. And then the final one where all the event servants come in. That was the moment of like, wait, Prisma Iliga is canon? it was fun. Anyway, we're on the Epic of Remnant now. This list does not have Seraph in it. So Seraph is second, of course, but Seraph would be like A, maybe EX. I don't know. I'm planning on rereading it once I finish CCC. Anyway, Shinjuku, A tier. Of these four, it's my favorite of the Epic of Remnant chapters. It is short. It is great. Moriarty is a great character. I love the ending with all the detective fiction characters coming out. I remember Father Brown. They reference Hercule Poirot as a detective fan. That is all I need to give it an A tier. Right? Plus Edmond Dantes is in it. Emmy Alter. Plus it has like that kind of the trope I talked about, like the mid bosses. You got Emmy Alter, you got Hessian Lobo, you got that assassin guy that nobody knows the name of in the water margin. But they don't overstay their welcome. They're introduced, they're taken care of very quickly. And it's just a concise story, which you gotta appreciate. Plus, I haven't even mentioned Saber Alter and Jean Alter yet. Come on, it's good. Agartha? This is tough. Because everyone is saying Agartha is the worst chapter ever added into Fate Grand Order when it came out, right? And I read it. I didn't even record it because I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna record that. Come on, it's trashy. Was it good? No, not really. Was it fun? Yeah, it was fun. And you know what? Can we add like a C.5? Boon? Right? Fine, but spelled with a U. Is that allowed? Because it's somewhere between these. I don't know where to drop it. You know what? I'm gonna say it's okay. I didn't sort these. I'd say London's probably better than. Right. It wasn't great. It had fun moments. Like Astolfo, not my favorite character, but they're usually a fun character to have around, right? And like it tried to do something. Did it work? No. And I think I actually like NA was censored, wasn't it? Like it was toned down a lot, which is probably why I'm so not as harsh on it. But from what I read, it was not the worst Epic of Remnant chapter. That might be controversial. I don't know. Yeah, anyway. Timos is the worst of Epic of Remnant, at least. Maybe even the worst, for me, chapter in Fate Grand Order. What are the problems with it? First off, that trope I talked about with the, oh yeah, you gotta do so many things before you get to the end. I hate that trope. Chimosa is entirely that trope. In like the second chapter, it says, hey, there's 7 shadow servants, you gotta defeat them all. It is so long, like it is overly wordy, like it makes like Nasu Heaven's Heel cooking scenes look like, a breeze. Which honestly, come on, those aren't even that bad. And the worst part is all of the shadow servants are not actually characters. They're all the same, ooh, I'm an evil Japanese servant, haha. And it's just not good. Like Musashi, I don't mind Musashi, but like I don't think she's a good character to be like, the main partner character for, right? Like she's fun. I like her more in a more supporting role. Like in Olympus, she was better off, right? She's not the main character, but she's still a prominent character in the cast. Just Mimosa did not work for me. And I hated every second of it, except when Morimasa was on screen, in which case it was actually EX tier. No. Anyway, Salem. I recorded all of this and have never uploaded it. It is still sitting on my hard drive. And it's hard to judge. Okay, the first like 2 chapters, if it was only those 2 chapters, it'd be like A tier, right? But everything after that just slowly derails and it gets worse and worse. And I think I just have to put it in like fine tier, right? Like it's better than Orleans, but it's maybe even worse than Okeanos. Like I really like the atmosphere of it, the vibes are cool. But it just kind of fizzled out after like the first, like I think part 1. Remember, it was released in parts. yeah, after part 1 ends, it just goes. And, you know, it's not, yeah. It was definitely the biggest disappointment of Epic of Remnant, right? Like, Shimosa, all I knew about it was more Amasa's in it, right? I didn't have any expectations, but Salem, like, Salem Witch Trials, that's awesome, right? Plus another American chapter, you know, I'm from American, I know American servants. It's like, oh boy, maybe we can get American servants I know, like George Washington, Abraham Lincoln. One day they'll have them. Nathaniel Hawthorne, yeah, if you want to, Salem Witch Trials, you know, because he's like the author from his grandfather was in, it would be cool. Instead, we got like the Queen of Sheba and Kirky, which, and of course Abigail Williams, of course, but yeah, it didn't meet my expectations. Anyway, the Lostbelt prologue, it's fine. It's same as Fuyuki, better, a little better than Fuyuki probably. Like it did its job. Kirei stab Da Vinci. What else is there to say? Now Anastasia, EX tier, easy. This is maybe my favorite Lostbelt. We're gonna get to that later. The introduction is perfect. It is one of the 2 like opening chapters that is amazing, perfectly paced. It did everything perfectly. It's amazing. Like the introduction, you get to the snowy wasteland, you have no servants, it's just you and Masha, you can't defend yourself, you got a briefcase with all your servants in it, but you can't summon any. You meet Potsy, and then you summon a V-Sabron. It's amazing, right? Then the midsection, you're meeting all these people, you're trying to, you know, build up this resistance to fight Ivan the Terrible and, well, Anastasia and Kadak. Kadak as a crypter is perfectly parallel to you as a character. You know, he's a third-rate mage who looks down on himself, but he looks down on you even more because you stole his job. It's amazing. Anastasia is the perfect waifu. It's just, and then of course it introduces the concept of Lostbelts where you have to prune these worlds and kill everyone. And Potsy is probably the best Lostbelt companion. Well, okay, look, Lostbelt 6 has so many, you know, interesting like native characters in it, right? That, okay, it probably does it better. But it beats all the other Lostbelts by far in that regard, right? Like, Potsy is, I'm not going to say the best character because, again, Lostbelt 6 gets some stuff going for it, but he's real good. Anyway, Goddard Damaron, my favorite of Sakurai's chapters, probably. I don't know if I want to put it in an A or B tier. It's kind of a fever dream in that I hardly remember any of it, but I remember enjoying it. So maybe I'll drop it at the end of A tier, right? Napoleon is a great character. Ophelia, very underrated crypter. I wish they hadn't killed her off. It would have been nice to have a little more time with her because it's kind of like Pepe, right? Imagine if she'd stayed around, you know, maybe if you still want to kill her off in like, I don't know, the Greek Lostbelt or something, right? Just very underused. Cert, yeah, you're still in Cert. Same with Sigurd, or even though like Sigurd and Cert were like the same character or something. I don't know. Skadi was a very cool Lostbelt king. We actually got to interact with her throughout the story. Sidonai was there, but she's best girl because Ilya, which is, you know, A+. And yeah, it was just a good time. Now, Sin. This one's hard. It has one thing going for it that I really like compared to all the other Lostbelts. It's short. Because I think a problem with the Lostbelts, pretty much all of them, they could really use a bit of editing. Like, I think with part 1, they're like, okay, we got to keep this down a little. But after the success of part 1, they're like, hey, let's just go at it. You know, backspace key, what's that? We took that off the keyboard, right? Sin, though, it's a very moderate length. It's nice. Like, you could maybe even read it in like one sitting, maybe. Like, I recorded it, so I don't know exactly how long it is, like reading speed. But yeah, besides that, it's not great. Like, there's a lot of characters in it, but a lot of they don't get time to shine. Like, you remember how you summon like Najah, Mordred, and Spartacus, and I think someone else. Like, Spartacus, he had his moment, right? What did Najah and Mordred do there? Like, okay, Najah existed to be there in Lostbelt 4. What did Mordred do? Why was she there, right? Why were there red hair and What's the guy that sacrifices people like Arash in purple? That guy. Why was he there? And Consort Yu, she's a waifu, yeah, but like, I feel like her character just didn't land as hard as the other cryptors. And also, like, there's her husband, who's the giant mech horse guy for some reason. It's just it needed a little more time in the oven, I think. Is it B or fine? You know what? I'm gonna say I even enjoyed Salem more than it, so I'm gonna put it in fine. Okay, Yuka Kestra? This one surprised me. So I actually listened to a podcast and learned about the Maha Rabada going into it, so I could, you know, be a little more invested in the story. And I'm very glad I did, because, you know, there's a lot of references to it in there, and understanding who Karna and Arjuna are as characters, well, like from their source material. Is it okay to call the Mahabharata source material? Because Hinduism still... don't worry about that. Don't worry. The Bible can be source material. Anyway, it's a great time. Of course, there are, like, Gina Ko's in it. Ooh, I probably would have appreciated more if I'd read CCC. And it also has that trope of, oh, you have to kill the 3 guys that Arjuna summoned before you can go fight Arjuna. But I didn't mind it as much here for whatever reason. Like, it was still... I'd still consider that a bit of a detriment, but I was okay with it. And I think... is it about Babylonia? I'd put it like on par with Babylonia, even. Maybe better. Let's just say they're even. Let's say they're even. Now Atlantis, the star of the Greek Lostbelt that I was looking forward to this basically from the minute the Lostbelt started. And it was great. It's basically a high story, right? It's pretty clearly cut into 3 parts. The opening, the middle where you have to assemble the crew, and then the third act where you have to, you know, go steal the thing. And by steal the thing, that means you know, kill the big god in the sky. Right? And I think the main reason it's so good, all of the cast gets to shine, right? Except for Chiyome. I don't know why Chiyome was there. But like Jason, cool character. Charlotte, cool character. Orion, awesome character. You got who else was there? You got the guy who likes it when the hair covers the eye, of course. The classic guy. You had, didn't he have a buddy? Yeah, he had a pirate buddy, didn't he? Was it Jason? I thought he... Look, there's a huge cast. It's been a while, okay? But it was a good time. Plus, Hephaestus is there. Hephaestus is awesome. I'm not saying his name right, I know. The god of the forge. And it introduces the, you know, all the lore of the Greek Lostbelt, which is... I think the Greek Lostbelt is pretty interesting, you know. There's some cool stuff going on there. And it's just a fun time. Jason and Charlotte are obviously the standouts of this Lostbelt. Who would have thought 2 1-stars would be so cool, right? And then... yeah, like... what other characters were in Atlantis? Like, I know! Like, obviously, well, Francis Drake was there for 2 seconds. I remember reading it. I was sure her death was a fake out. She'd come back any second now. So maybe, like, in Lostbelt 7, Francis Drake actually survived and she's gonna show... maybe, who knows? Anyway, Olympus? This is Shimosa Part 2. But... it is better than Shimosa, mostly. Is it really wordy? Yes. Does it have that same kind of detriment of, you know, oh, it's clearly split into arcs, so you gotta kill all these guys? Yes. Are the gods really defined very well as characters? No. Like, we as a, like, Guro, like, do we even interact with Demeter or Aphrodite at all? I don't think so. Kashari, like, problem is, all the cool parts in it were written by Nasu at the end, right? All the Sakurai parts I really was not a fan of. Like, Romulus gets summoned for some reason, and what's the guy who's in the freezer? For some reason, what's that guy's name? Caligula was there for some reason. The twins, I'm gonna be honest, I hated the twins as characters. They were, like, Lostbelt 2 had Gerda. I forgot to mention her. Gerda was not the deepest character, right? But I think she really did add to the ambience of the story. I mean, she was in Potsy 2.0. Lostbelt 4, I mean, it did have that one girl. I don't remember her name. Who she existed, right? The twins, though, I just did not like working with them at all. They were, yeah. And but Kirstario is cool. The foreign god shows up, and that stuff's cool. And Morimasa was in it, so it's not unremarkable, though. Is the thing. Do I need to add like a flawed category? Okay, look, I'll do everyone a favor so no one yells at me, because I think people mostly like Olympus. I'll put it at the end of C tier, right? But you have to acknowledge Fuyuki is better than it. Right, Hanko is E tier. Better than Shimosa in some regards, but it's Shimosa 3.0, right? The first half makes it seem like, oh, hey, it's doing what Shimosa did, but improving on it, because, you know, instead of fighting a Holy Grail war with, you know, shadow servants who aren't themselves, it is, you know, actual characters, which was cool. And even though it wasn't that well written in the first half, and then the second half shows up, and they are just shadow servants again. You got you know, Tawara Toda and Suzuka Gozen, who are evil versions of themselves, right? You got the adult, what's your name, Gozen, the whole adult Ushiwaka Mario thing, which needed more time if they're going to do that, right? They did that all in like 2 chapters, but like half of those 2 chapters were dedicated to like getting the Oni or something. And then I think, and then like Ibuki was there for some reason, and it was just kind of a mess. There were fun moments in it, which almost makes me want to put it in unremarkable, but no, it was long and I kind of hated it. And like Sakurai as a writer, I do like Lostbelt 2 is the exception here, right? I have not enjoyed her works in Fate Grand Order. Well, at least these 3, because they're so similar, right? Like, I'm sure for some people they hit, and you know what? I even think if they were to animate these, like turn them into like each of them to 12-episode anime. Well, you think, can you do Olympus in 12 episodes? I don't know. I think they would work very well. He's like, she mostly, especially, sets up like these huge, you know, epic fight scenes, and then, you know, instead of getting them in prose, you get them in gameplay, and that just doesn't work. Like, I'm sure I've only read Ignanok, but I'm sure Sakurai's used that formula, and then she's written like really truly fight scenes in them, right? Like she has that one about Nikola Tesla. I'm sure that's how that one works, because Ignanok follows the very episodic format as well, right? And I've heard that she uses that a lot. So I'm assuming she took that formula that works in her other stories, but it just doesn't work in Fate Grand Order. Except Lostbelt 2 doesn't really follow that formula, right? There's not like, it's an adventure, kind of. You go around with the Napoleon, discovering this world, and there's not like, you don't know what's coming next. The surprise, it's a journey. While, you know, Shimosa and Hanko, you know what's coming next. Same with Olympus. Like, once you're introduced to, oh, hey, in this arc we're going to kill Demeter, you know, okay, next arc we're probably going to kill Aphrodite. The one after that, you know, the twins, and then after that, Zeus, obviously. And then, you know, Hanko's, well, I mean, pretty much the same thing. Anyway, I have not done Tunguska or Trom. Trom's not even out yet. And Tunguska, I missed it. So, Lostbelt 6 is the last one. It goes without saying it's EX tier. Question is, where in EX tier is it? Because Lostbelt 6, I give it 2 real flaws, right? First off, it is so long. It is paced extraordinarily well. There's only a couple sections where it's like, oh, can we keep going with it, please? Which is like, you know, an Edinburgh with a chocolate making, and then like, I think there's a section where like, you know, when Londinium's getting attacked by wood wolves, like before that just drags on for a while. I think that could be condensed a little, but it is otherwise paced extraordinarily well for a Lostbelt that took me 47 hours to complete. Obviously I recorded it, so that took like probably twice as long, if not more. But still, it's very, very long. Second, there are a couple characters that got kind of shafted. The most obvious one, Balbon Sith. Like, Barghest and Melusine they were probably my 2 favorite characters in that Lostbelt, right? And compared to them, the last Tomlin, Babylon Sith, got nothing. Pretty much. She didn't even get her own cutscene for her backstory, right? Her backstory was just in Morgan's backstory. She got completely shafted compared to the other two. Like Morgan, Morgan was a very good character. Just like, it was supposed to, her death was supposed to be anticlimactic, right? Just I felt like it needed a little something more. I feel like I was expecting her to make a comeback somehow in part 3. Like when I read it, you know, like when the star scene happens, I was kind of expecting like Morgan to, or either to show up there, or you know, when Albion saves you, I was kind of expecting that to be her somehow. Like look, it doesn't have to make sense. It's Chuny. I just feel like she needed a little something more to her, right? I don't know what exactly. Anyways, the positives. The biggest thing, Lostbelt 6 feels like it's completely own self-contained story. Like, if you were to change a little bit, like just change like the main characters, like, you know, Good Mashu, Chaldea, it could be its own story. Nasu could publish this as its own visual novel. Its world is immaculate. There's a whole timeline in it. It's amazing. It's a long, like, it's probably as long as a Fate Stay Night route. Like, it's probably, maybe it's even longer than Unlimited Blade works. So it's like all the NP, well, like all the native characters are fully realized characters. Like Aurora, I hate her guy. Spriggan, I love to hate that guy's guys. Morian, like hate her but kind of feel sad for her. You know, Nocturne taken from us too soon. Coral, I am still mad about Coral. Oh my god, I miss Coral every day. And it's just, it's amazing. But is it better than Anastasia? I don't know. Look, recency bias is allowed, so we're gonna say it's better than Anastasia. Boom. That's my tier list. Anything I disagree with here? So LB6 on top, obvious. Anastasia, Atlantis, Camelot. Yep, looks good to me. Babylonia, best of 8 tier. Yep. Yuga Castro. Yep. Shinjuku and Gato Damagon. No, I'm gonna say I like Shinjuku more because it's concise. As I've played more Fate Grand Order, I've grown to like the conciseness. Because, come on, LB6, love it. It's too wordy. Well, no, it's not even too wordy, it's just too long. Right? Like, in America, Okeanos, Solomon? Solomon's probably better than Okeanos. Salem, Sin, Orleans. Yeah, that's all good. Like, Olympus, like, okay, come on. It's better than Fuyuki, but it's also worse than Fuyuki. Can we get like Olympus is just in its own tier of I have no idea how to place it. Like it has high highs and low lows. Like here again, I don't know how to make a new box for what just for Olympus. Put it right smack in the middle. Then Agartha London stuff. Yeah, okay, this looks good to me. As you can tell, I'm pretty biased against Sakurai. I really need to try one of her visual novels out because I have faith she's a good author, right? Just she is not, her track record in Fate Grand Order isn't the best. Like, I'm not a big fan of 3 out of 4 of them. Well, and plus if you count like London and Symptom, you know. But I give those a pass. Those get a pass. And I hear Tunguska's pretty bad. I don't know who wrote it. Was it Higashida? No, and I know Higashida wrote Trom actually. No. Someone wrote Tunguska. I have high hopes for Trom. It's an S. S for Satrom. I don't know. Anyways, hope you like this. I did not expect to talk as long as I did. How long is this? Oh my god, I talked for 34 minutes. Jesus. Okay, I assume I'm gonna upload this like pretty soon. So if you're wondering why I just completed Lostbelt 6 but have only uploaded 3 episodes of Avalon LaFay, it's because I have a huge backlog. Anyways, I hope you guys like this. If you did, like, let me know. Like, I'm not against, like, I don't know what I could do more of these of. Like, I don't know, stuff Nasu's written. Like, I don't know, everything in the Nasuverse, I will write it all. Because I've read / watched / played most of it. I could do that. I don't know, though. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you did, see you guys next time. Bye.